All right, so hopefully everybody can see what I'm seeing as well. Let me just pop up my chat so I know what you're asking as well. Yes, cool. You can see it. Cool. All right. If any of you have a bit of question, just pop in the chat and hopefully I can answer it. If not, hopefully Bahana will know the answers. All right. Can you start? Ya, start aja lah ya.
Yalah, start lah.
The sooner we start, the sooner we can have lunch. Right, guys?
Lunch is the most important.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, it should move. All right, so we're going to talk a bit more about game development process. In graphic design, this will be part of the screen design development courses. So if any of your freshman leader joining the IDM, you can skip my courses on week 1 and week 5 since this is already covered, hopefully. Yeah. All right, cool. So game development process. This is the 3-stage of game development process. Yeah, we always have the pre-production, production, and post-production, and that's also applied to any other design process as well, right? But what goes inside those stage? Once you nailed it, then you have to move to go to the production stage. This is what we call the implementation stage. This is where you implement all your idea, your concept art, mechanic into a much more production-ready game, basically. Yeah. And once you're happy with that, you can go release your game, and then we often go to the post-production. What is there? What happened when we release the game? Yeah, obviously there will always be a user testing. There will be a tweaking, and there are aftermarket stuff. You add patch, you add more levels, and you see whether your target market is already enjoying the game and what to be and things like that. All right, so that's like the overall game development process. Yeah, it can run only 1 week for the whole process, or it can run into like more than 5 years, depending how big or how small the game and the team that you have, basically. All right. And we're going to get more in depth into each of the stage. Pre-production stage. Yeah. So what happened in there? So we already talked about planning stage, right? You got the idea, and then you start brainstorming and mind mapping. This is where you look around your area, see if there's anything that's interesting, and then can you apply that into some sort of a project or a game, for instance. Yeah. And then once you have those brainstorming session, you can do it by yourself or with your friend and things like that. We go to the concepting stage. This is where you start building up your idea and visualizing different element like character, user interface if needed, different kind of level that probably needs to have in your level. Yeah, I'm going to give the example later. And then once you have those idea and concept nailed down, then you start doing design. What I mean by design here is you start building up what we call a building block. So you map out your game. Kind of like this is the level. You try to have a bunch of platforming. You try to have those stairs, pipes, and fire, and big, huge Sarvahana there with flaming hair, things like that. Yeah, and see if it's working. If not, then you go back to concepting. If it's not working, you go back again to your idea and go and so on and so on. So this is where you loop around and see what fits for your project, what is feasible for the remaining time. Right. Let me just delete that. So that's the pre-production stage. And once you're happy with that, go ahead. You make your prototype and start, doing a playtesting with yourself, your friend, or some your target market, I guess. Yeah. So prototype is kind of like the working design of your game. You already translate your concept into one level or chunk of levels if there's more than one, and then you test the gameplay. You probably want to test if the jumping is okay, if this level is too hard, too easy, and things like that. Right. And then we move on to production. So we have what we call a design iteration. Yeah, this is similar as I showed you before, where you start generate ideas, you formalize ideas using either physical prototype or digital prototype. Yeah, but normally both are fine. Yeah, digital prototype can be much easier or much faster if you are working on digital game. Kind of like every day or even every week you can have a different build and test it and see if it's work. Physical prototype, there are some studios that I know they're using Lego block. So they have a Lego and they start building up like a bit of level with Lego and see if that works. So that's work as well. Yeah. And then you test your idea, obviously, and then you evaluate your idea. Is it working? Is it good enough? Is the pacing good? If not, then you go back to generating idea based on that evaluation. This is what we call the design iteration, and you continue working in that until you think that all right, this is enough, this is good enough, and then you can go to the production stage. Yes, that's Gridania. Right, so go to production, and what goes into the production? It goes art and code where they join up together and create, those games. Yeah, so that's production. What else? Yeah, I already forgot my slide. All right, okay, playtesting session. So once you have your game and you want to test it out, right? You will have a playtesting session. Now, playtesting session can start directly once you finish, creating your first prototype, or you can have different kind of playtesting just to see. All right, I want to see, say for instance, this week I want to see level 1. Is the level good enough? Next week we move on to level 2, and then the next week, the whole thing. Let's try from start to finish how long the game is going to work and things like that. So type of playtesting session, self-testing. This is where you test your own game by yourself, see if it's working or not. You can what you call test with trusted person. Yeah. Normally, student will ask other student to test their game. In a group, for instance, or you can ask your family to play your game and get feedback from them. Yeah. And also you can test the people that you don't know, or your target market. You go to a cafe and ask people to play it. Do you have time? Can you play this game? And you observe them. So that's the three type of testing playtesting that you can use. Right. So method of playtesting, yeah. One-on-one. This is where you and the tester are, sit together, work together, and get a direct feedback from them. Observation. This is again where you just observe people playing game. Basically, it's like we're just observing we don't tell them what to do or what's the problem with this game, but all you need to do is just see and then write down what they've done and what's wrong with your game based on that observation. Right? Feedback form. This is the one that we're going to use for today. So basically, let people play your game, and then you give them a feedback form, and then you get that feedback, and then you look at that feedback and reiterate your design based on that feedback. Right? And interview. So this is where when the player getting interviewed after they finish the game. Yeah, so when the tester finish the game, and then you jump in as a designer and ask them, right, what is the interesting part of the game? What do you see that need to be changed? And often they said everything. Right. Data hook. This is where you give the your game, to the internet and adding a data hook, things like you analyze the behavior while playing using all those weird lines and graphs and things that we normally see, and then you start analyzing based on that. Right? Any questions so far? Oh, let me just continue a little bit more, I guess. Here we go. So we talk about the design iteration just now. Yeah. If you look at this table or
the audio is not nearby.
very likely, right? Let me just wait. Robot audio, I like that. Can I change our voice here in Zoom? Oh, yeah. All right, I'll go now.
Still.
All right. Is it okay now? Can you all hear clearly or not?
Not.
No, yeah. No, not yet. All right, let's just wait until the express media started to looking great, crazy.
Okay.
Right, let me just turn off my video. Let's see if that works. How do you stop audio? All right, here you go. How's that? Yeah, cross media bad, but still better than video, I guess, in my area anyway.
It's okay lah.
Still not clear. All right. All right, that's. Is it
okay,
working?
It's better. Yeah.
This is better. All right.
Yep.
Hold on. Right, here we go. Where we are. Okay, here we go. So pre-production. So if you look at this tornado thing here, basically what it means that, come on, get up. Here we go. During the concept phase, production phase, production until the QA, what you've been doing is generate idea, formalize, test idea, and so on and so on. Yeah, until it goes into the launch date, basically. But the difference is this is like very broad. Yeah, you can see that this is very broad idea. And then once you test it, you revise it, it's become more and more focused until they said, all right, this is good enough for launch. And then you launch the game, basically. Yeah. So that's what's going on. What's the difference between the productions, pre-production until the production phase? All right, cool. So what are the responsibilities of a game designer? Yeah, I'm going to list it out here, and I'm just going to say that
game designer comes from mostly people that have played a lot of bad levels, so they know what to fix. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be comes from the graphic design student or a program computer science student. It can be from anywhere, right? Um, One, you should work as part of the team for sure. Yeah, you have to generate the concept, you craft the rules, and you write the game and software specification. You know where you're going to deploy your games later, uh, and you have to guide your team to implement this software specification. Yeah, you also need to see or play test the game by yourself and with your teams, and then you need to refine the concept based on that. Again, you need to design the level, that's for sure. This is why we have like a lot of designer. You know, you got the level designer, you got the character designer, you got the too many designers in one design team. Yeah. um all right, note when building a level, I guess. If you can't beat your level, it's way too hard, that's for sure. Yeah, so if you tested yourself and you can't beat it, that's definitely too hard. If you finish it, doesn't mean that the user can finish it as well. So think about that. You can finish your game because you're the one who designed it. You already know the trick and cheat. Yeah. So that's why you need feedback from others. Yeah. You have to design the game for a general audience, so a really broad one. Yeah. So you have to think about player have different sets of skill. Yeah, Salt is a bit, you know, it's still for general, but they skew a bit. Yeah, it's okay. Cuphead as well. I hate that. Is player into the game, which means that on the first stage, don't give a hard time for the player to start. You know, give them a bit of introductory. You know, don't give all the skills in one go. For instance, you know, level 1, you have one skill. Level 2, add more skills and things like that. Right? Suffering is good. Yes, kind of. Don't forget to challenge the player. Yeah, don't make the games too easy as well. Otherwise, it'll get boring in within a minute. Yeah. So you have to remember your concept. You know, sometimes when we start building up a game, you know, we lost track of, you know, we're enjoying adding more plants, so we forget what's the actual level is all about. Yeah. So be careful with that. Always look at your what we call a game design document, see what level is all about, and go from there. Yeah, teach players into the game. Again, you don't give a bunch of information up front. You know, uh, 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 teach them bit by bit. um, I think Mario is always a good example of how to teach player in the game. Like in the first stage, they already have a Goomba, they have the question mark, and then, you know, player try to do, you know, without any what's that introduction, they already know what to do by you know, testing out the game. Yeah. And give player room to explore. You know, you don't just rush through the bosses only if it's a boss rush game, but, you know, give them to explore, give them time to, you know, breathe out, see what this level is all about, and then move on with the story. Right, and vary your level. Again, this is to make things more interesting. Don't just, all right, one level, three enemies. The next level, another three enemies. Next level, another three enemies. Yeah, vary the level a little bit more. Yeah. And then refine, play, and refine. That's obviously the key point here, that you need to redo like every single time that you try play. Yeah. Right. Any question? Dark Soul, Cuphead. Cat Mario Shuffle Knight. Yep. All right, let's just continue. This is a example that what we've done or what I've done in the past. Yeah. The process of creating a board game. Um, right. So prototyping process. The first thing that I'm going to try is whether this board game is going to be a physical one or a digital one. That's the thing that I'm questioning myself before I started this project. And I want a new challenge. I've created a digital game before, but I haven't tried a physical one, so I don't know if the prototyping is going to be different. Yeah, so I want to try that project, and I want to make this board game because I think it's a really good entry level for non-gamer. Uh, Digital game often have one of this controller, and they like for those who haven't played game, it's kind of like intimidating for them. Yeah, you have like 10 plus button to press, and board game is quite easy. They hand up the card or the board and look at the rules, and they they can try it. Yeah. So that's the one reason to go with this project. And then start prototyping again. There are several three questions that I want to ask for the player for playing the game. One is the player know the process of making batik after playing this game? Yeah, is the player able to differentiate a different tool of batik making? And lastly, is the game engaging enough to help preserving batik culture? Yeah. So if we talk about research yesterday, this is one of the example of what we've done here. So taking uh, like this is the introducing batik for us, city people, how how to create batik, what is the process and things like that. Yeah. So this is the one that I want to pursue. Right. So again, more sketches. So start off the bat, sketching all the design requirement, and then do a research. I went to the batik process area, I guess. Di mana waktu itu ya, Bon? Cirebon ya? We went to Cirebon ya?
Cirebon, ya.
Yeah, Cirebon. Yeah, we went to Cirebon and then see how batik is made and ask the
Cirebon.
expert there, things like that. So that's part of the research, and then we developed this one. Right. So I decide to have a worker management game. It has to be 30 to 40 minutes duration per game session, and just focusing on the batik process. Yeah. So again, these three method here thing is that the one that I want to focus. Right. So the batik process. So once we have that nailed in Sketch, we start developing with papers. Yeah. So Serbahana helped me in this part as well. We play test like every week, yeah, Mon, and see whether the design is okay or not. Yeah. So this is the first prototype that I made. So the feedback it's a very quick game. It's a game of race, as in, once you start, you race with players, and then there's a huge advantage for the first player. So if I'm not playtesting this before, I have no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. So this thing revealed during the first prototype. All right. So then you have to change some part, or adding additional resources, as we saw in yesterday's slide. Adding resources is always good. So I add more money, I limit the tool usage. I think this is because I play too much Breath of the Wild.
Money in the game, not real money.
Yeah, right. And then I add
You cheat.
more points and rewards. Yeah, Serbana always cheating in my game. I hate that.
What?
So, yeah, sometimes you have a lot of money than me. I hate it.
That's not cheating.
Right. So additional resources. Try to add that. And then t- because the first prototype said that it was a huge advantage for the first player, and then like I don't know, 80-90% he always win. Yeah. So I'm adding more randomizer. This is to slow the pace out, make sure that the second, third, fourth player have the advantage as well. So I added more randomizer here. I added what we called a weather dice. Yeah. So if the weather is good, then you can go through all the phases. But if the weather is bad, then you have to wait for 2 turns, I guess. We added calendar system because this is a worker management game. We want to have one of those. If this is the next month, hey, then you have to pay your worker. You know, if you have more worker, then you have to pay a lot and things like that. Yeah, so you have to balance things out. Thing here, right? And then we added a special fabric as well. You know, say if the player is behind. And if he roll up a special fabric, he can go, you know, zoom, 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 things like that. Then we move on to playtest, the actual playtest. Yeah, we went. No, it's in our campus. We playtest in our campus, sadly. And that's our first victim, I guess. Yeah, man, that's your student. That's our
Yes,
victim there.
yeah, that guy that helped us to create the digital game also for RSM.
Yeah, yeah.
Richianto.
So that's good. That's our research assistant. So he played the game a few more times, and then if you notice that there's a form here, this is where what the feedback form looks like. Yeah. So we discuss the game, and then list all the feedback and things like that. Yeah. So at that time, we also you know, create a game session for the whole student as well. We invite industry, indie game maker. This guy here, he made a political card game, and yeah, I don't remember what game is this. But anyway, so we have the result once we play a few more times. This student is Bahana's favorite, I think.
Which one?
Don't laugh, man. Right.
But she created an interactive novel for the thesis, so yeah.
Yes, so great. Yeah, so good. So again, going back to the first questions, you know, the three questions that I want to answer here. Is the player know the process of making batik, and so on and so forth? Once we look at the feedback, so basically yes, once they played it, so they know, they understand the process or the hardship of creating, you know, a month of batik and 6 months of creating batik. Do they know the tools? Yes. What's chanting's for, what wax is, and things like that. So that's good. And is it engaging enough? Sadly, no. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Sadly, no. Most tester are said, you know, I would play for once and that's it. You know, this is not a good replayability for the game, because once you finish the game, you pretty much know everything. You know all the strategy. You know, and that's it.